Hello, beautiful people. It's Robyn Thomas here with Resemble Me by Robyn. Welcome back to my channel. Alright, so if you have been rocking with me for a while, if you've been subscribed for at least a year, then this install actually looks familiar to you. So last year, honestly, I can't remember when I uploaded the video, but I do know that I installed this last year, close to the end, or maybe, yeah, close to the end of the year, I believe. So these are the micro box braids that took me 22 hours to install. So people ask all the time, what's the difference between micro braids and micro box braids? Well, micro braids are braided about like 4 or so inches down the shaft, as opposed to micro box braids, which are small like micro braids. However, you don't use human hair like you use for micro braids. You use the regular Connecticut hair, and then you braid them down as if you were installing box braids and not micros. So micro is the size, box braid is the type. So micro box braids. All right, so this is my client's scalp after 4 months. So she kept these braids in for 4 months, and she used my oil. So the oil, I don't believe I had my mist out yet whenever she got her hair installed. So she used water for her as her liquid, and then she used the Roots hair and body enhance oil for her scalp and her braids. And she did that often, like every 2 or 3 or so days. Yes, she probably may have went like a week or so without doing it, but nothing that cost her, I can say that. So out of the 4 months of her having the braids in, she actually went in to wash her hair 4 times. Okay, so this works for her. It's different for everybody. If your scalp can take it, that's fine, especially because she's using natural products. So my oils are 100% natural. We have products that absorb into the hair as opposed to sit on top of the hair and clog up. You don't need to clarify your hair as often, especially if you're not using like edge controls and constantly using mousse and stuff like that. You don't necessarily need to do a stripping cleanse so often. So she definitely used the avocado and almond shampoo because it's a detangling moisturizing shampoo. She didn't necessarily need to strip her hair of anything because she was putting natural products into her hair. So I'm just going through and showing you her new growth and showing you how clean her scalp is, and also showing you that her hair is not matted together. So they haven't decided to marry, meaning that they're not, now some of them are, and that happens from when you don't, like when you wash your hair and then you go to sleep with it wet in that state, instead of like letting it dry and kind of like pushing your hands through it and stuff like that. So I did want to note the front of her hair is always the driest. She's been coming to me on and off for some years, and she has always had problems with the front of her hair being drier than the rest. So you're going to see that as we get to the takedown and all that. But anywho, so yeah, keeping your scalp and stuff clean is very, very important. It also helps with growth. Like, look at the new growth that she has from this install. It's absolutely beautiful. And something I also want to note is with my installs, when it comes to new growth, My goal is for it to sit on top of your head, not to hang down. So that's something that you probably noticed if you go back. Is sitting on, so it's almost like she has a fro of the new growth, as opposed to it hanging down straight. When it's hanging down, that's not a good thing. That means you need to take them out. That means that the weight of the hair and how much new growth you have, is now too much for your strands, and you don't want that. So yeah. All right, so it's very simple and easy. I'm just gonna talk through how I the steps I take to take down the hair. I do have other videos of taking down micros. I don't believe I've ever taken down my actual micros online, because it's taken forever. But and I never do it in one setting, but because this was a client, I was, like, let's go ahead and do this and let's get this done. I'll tell y'all how long it took close to the end. If I forget to say it at the end, I will put it in the title. So yes, watch and listen, just in case this is a style that you're interested in getting. A lot of people on the video was like, I mean, that's cute and all, but who taking it down? Who gonna take that down, sis? And I'm like, me, sis, I'm gonna take it down. She already told me. So I was already prepared for it. So whenever I'm installing, I'm always thinking about the takedown, whether it's me taking it down or my client taking it down. I try not to borrow any of the actual client's hair, like confuse it as I'm installing it. I try to keep the 3 strands when I'm installing the 3 strands until I get close to the end. That just helps keep the braids nice and neat, and again, it does help for a easier takedown. So something that you have to keep in mind, although yes, she washed her hair and all that stuff, but listen, we have lint and dust and stuff in the air all the time. That's going to be like on the line of demarcation where the new growth and the braid is. Like, it's going to be there. Like, it's inevitable. So you're going to have that, and it's going to be clogged up in there. So we know that. Okay. All right. So the steps to taking out your braids or any, individual protective style. As you see, I'm actually kind of spraying a little bit of my Roots mist. So now I do have the mist. I'm spraying a little bit of it because I'm trying to see where her hair ends. It was kind of hard to see, and I was going, the opposite direction. I wasn't doing it too hard because you don't ever want to cause too much friction. It was okay as well because her hair is super moisturized. I could feel it to touch. It wasn't wet. It wasn't coated or drenched or anything. But I could feel that when I was touching it, it was not dry. It didn't sound dry when I was manipulating it or anything. So she definitely did an awesome job at taking care of her hair while in the protective style. Okay, so as you can see, and like I was starting to say, it's the same for all individuals. You want to find where your hair is, okay? Never go from the very bottom unless your hair is all the way down there. You'll be wasting time if you do that. And you definitely don't want to waste time on a style so small like this, okay? So find your hair where you believe your hair to stop. And then you kind of want to go down like an inch, just to be on the safe side. You can always go back and cut more once you start to take the hair down. And once you realize, okay, my hair is stopping about here, like I've had to unravel about 3 inches. Like, okay, I thought my hair grew about 10, but it's cool. It only did, a couple inches in, 4 months, but it's cool. Y'all know how we get. So you don't want to cut unnecessary length, okay? You don't want to do that. I've done that trying to rush. You don't want to do that. Always take your time when taking out protective styles, okay? You don't want all your hard work to go to waste. So I'm simply just going through and sectioning off manageable sections for my mind, for my sanity. And as you can see, I'm starting to see some hair. But for my sanity, it kind of helps me to say, okay, once I finish this section, I can kind of say, okay, it needs to take me about this long for this section and then this long for the rest or whatever. So it's kind of more so a mind thing. Always keep in mind when taking your hair down, whether it's micros or any protective style, to have time. Have time and take your time. So anyways, I'm finding where the client's hair is, I want to cut about an inch after where I believe the hair stops, just to be on the safe side. If you are still unsure, don't cut a section, cut one braid. Take out the one braid and then see, you know, where your hair is. So when I cut the excess hair off, and I shouldn't be where any confused ends are. So I was telling you how I confuse the ends or borrow hair from the 3 different strands close to the end. So I've cut that off, so I shouldn't have too many problems with just trying to like unravel it. Pause. Do y'all see that new growth? Do you see the new growth? That is beautiful, right? Okay, play. So I am using a rat tail comb. The pointier, the better, of course. I use the comb. Sometimes I use my nails. It just depends. So you know how I was talking earlier about locks marrying each other. So around the nape and the edges, it happens more often there than anywhere else, especially the nape, because once we, you know, finish washing our hair and stuff and we have it down, or we wrap it down sometimes, not all the time, and then it tends to mat that way. But I was able to just easily look through and kind of, you know, undo it without losing the braid. So I'm taking the rat tail comb and I'm putting it in the grooves. I like to go on the back of the hair. So if I braid, y'all know how I braid in my videos, right? So I think that's overhanded. I feel like that's what people call it. I'm unsure about that terminology. But how most people braid, right? So my hands are like this when I'm braiding. But when I braid, the back side is what you want to put your comb in, the back side of the grooves or the indentions in the braid, right? So I'm flipping the braid over and then I'm taking that down like that. So yeah, I'm able to go all the way up there because, like I said, I try not to borrow any hair. So I was able to just kind of pull it a piece and unravel. It's going to stop where the client's hair starts, or unless it's been like borrowed hair from the other or from different sections into another section. So if you watch my videos, or if you are new here, I like to take down all of the braids first. Then I go through and detangle, finger detangle, and then I do my wash day process. I feel that it works very, very, very well this way. So I'm flipping it over. I'm using a rat tail comb until I feel like, okay, I'm trying and it's not working, or I just feel like it's big enough for me to go ahead and go in with my fingernails. Continue to do that. I take, like I said, all of them down. What this does when you take all of them down is it helps it not be so overwhelming, right? So if you're like, okay, let me take it down, then let me detangle it. Look how small those are. If you go through and detangle it right now, like, you will be weeks probably trying to take your hair down. And you don't want to be weeks trying to take your hair down, okay? So take all of the braids out, then go back through and detangle, finger detangle. I personally don't like to use any liquids or anything because I feel that our natural hair is going to start reverting back. If I have shed hair that is in there and I wet it, the shed hair is going to become tangled, right? It's much easier to me, not everybody, to detangle on dry hair. Now, of course, not like breaking off dry hair, but her hair, like I said, her hair is moisturized, right? She's done her routine consistently and you can feel it. So I like to go ahead and detangle on dry hair, finger detangle first, go through with the wide tooth comb afterwards, then go through the wash day routine. Okay, so that everything else is smooth. Again, this just kind of helps me to pace myself. It helps me to not become overwhelmed. And it helps me feel like, okay, I'm knocking out something. So if I have how many steps I'm supposed to do, for an appointment, then I can say, okay, I need to be done with this by this by this, or I can strive, for a goal. But like I said, if I'm taking it down and then I'm going through and detangling as I'm doing it, like, no, ma'am, that's not gonna work. Okay, so I'm just gonna let you watch me take it down, and then I'll come back and speak a little bit on when I begin to detangle the hair. Wow. Last braid. Yes. Let me tell you something. My little wrist, look at the flick of the wrist was working. Okay. So this is all of the braids. It's out. Listen. Okay. I need a thumbs up on this video if you have ever wanted to just wear your hair after you've taken your braids down, but was so disappointed because your scalp needed washing so bad that you couldn't even sport such a fluffy, beautiful braid out. I know, me too. So I'm gonna do a thumbs up on this video as well. So yeah, so this is all of her hair taken down. Just as a heads up, when it comes to starting to detangle, the edges around the perimeter is going to be the hardest part. Okay, it just is. It's inevitable. I always try to install those a little bit, or use either less hair or make the parts a little bit bigger, so that I am so that I don't come into too much, or problems, whenever I'm taking it down. So something also to remember is that your hair sheds 50 to 100 strands a day, okay? 50 to 100 strands a day. She had these braids in for 4 months, okay? My goal is to remove shed hair, not to add any breakage, right? My goal is to just go in there, untangle that hair where the line of demarcation was, for the new growth and where the braid starts, okay? And then, goodness, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, and then separate that mommy brain. All my mamas know what I'm talking about. So separate that, and then I had to take my gloves off for this. I was like, that's just not gonna work. I needed my my fingers. I needed my fingers for this. My fingernails was gonna work. So my job is to go in, separate it, okay, and take that dead hair out. But anywho, she had these in for 4 months. Okay, let's just say 30 days, right? We know some of the months had 31. We're not about to go through in the calendar and be like, oh, okay, 30 plus 30. No. So we're just going to say 30 times times 4, right? 4 months. That's 120 days. Times 50 strands. That's minimum. That's 6,000 strands. Minimum 6,000 strands. Okay? Times that by 2, that's 12,000. That's a lot of hair. So my job is to try to get that out as best as possible. All right. So the best way I can describe what I do whenever I come to a section that I'm trying to detangle, I was showing you combs don't do it. It just don't work like that for me. I find I can better feel with my fingers. So I choose to use my fingers, and I see the best results from that. Okay, so what you see me doing is literally I had to loosen that up as much as I could, right? So I loosened it up as much as I could, and then what I'm doing is literally taking out one strand at a time. Like, you not going to be able to see it because you'd have to be like right up on it. Like, you had to be there to really see what I'm talking about. But all I'm doing is literally taking out one piece, one strand at a time, one thin strand, to detangle that. Okay, and so I just pull up, so I don't pull out when I'm doing that or away from each other. So how I'm pulling right there, I'm just trying to see if I can loosen it up. I get as much as I can, and then if I'm having a hard time, I do as I did on the first one, and I just try to separate piece by piece. So what happens is that little bundle of debris is going to start to have a little bit of room, which makes it easier to slide that and the shed hair off. Yeah, and to get that out. So I'm doing it again where I'm just pulling up that hair, and it's gonna be some hair that's already right there that says I was ready to go. I ain't have nowhere to go. That is what shed hair is. Okay, I'm ready to go. So yeah, I'm just continuously doing that. You're going to notice that when I get to the middle, it's going to become a lot easier. Normally the hair is a lot thicker. And when I say the middle, I really mean like just right after the perimeter. You're going to see me just kind of going through with my fingernails and with my and just my fingers. So my fingers and my fingernails is going to start to become really easy. It's very, very tedious because I have so many braids that were installed and so many sections that I absolutely have to detangle, which also lets you know is why it's so important to do this now in my eyes. Because what if I went and tried to wash her? What if I even just tried to use a wide tooth comb? You know, I wasn't going to really get in that, you know, in those areas with a wide tooth comb. If I was going to be like ripping the hair out. So say I do the wide tooth comb and then I go to the shampoo bowl, like that's going to be a tangly mess, and we would be there. We wouldn't finish this in one setting. Yes, I finished this in one setting. We wouldn't be able to do that. So figuring out the best methods, you know, that work for you and work for your hair and stuff like that. So another thing, she said, okay, if I'm going to get this installed, I'm also going to get you to take it down. So she already planned that. You know what I'm saying? You have to be mindful of what you're doing when you're trying to use braids as an aid for hair growth. And you're trying to use protective styles to help you as you're growing out your hair. So yeah, I'm just going to let you all continue to watch me remove it. You'll see me come into different obstacles, and then you'll see me slide through some of it. This could help you even if you don't have braids that are this tiny. This portion could help when it comes to detangling. Okay, my advice is always finger detangle first. Okay, finger detangle, take the time, make the time to finger detangle. You will save a lot, I mean a lot, of your hair. The middle sections, as I was saying earlier, becomes a lot easier. So I'm just kind of loosening it up, separating that, and then running my fingers through. Anytime I feel like I'm coming along some chunks or something like that, I just, use my little fingertips to get through it as much as I can. But as you can see, it's very easy. I'm separating it now, pulling it apart from each other, and then just raking my fingers through. Like, this is the most thorough detangling you could ever have on your hair. I'm just saying. All right, so we are wrapping up now with the detangle. So the two biggest things that I needed to do have been done. Okay, so I'm just raking through that a little bit more, making sure I've gotten every little piece and every little braid section that was a braid nice and detangled. I'm now going to go in with my wide tooth comb, as I was telling you all, and just kind of rake through that. Or not rake through, that sounds so bad. But I'm just gonna comb through that and just kind of get out any more excess hair. Ooh, missed one. Got it just that quick. And just go through and make sure that I get as much excess hair out as possible. Some hair is still gonna come out whenever you go to shampoo, but I'm trying to get as much of it out as possible because she has kinky hair and it's going to revert back, and we do not want that hair tangled in our hair, especially, you know, when it goes back to its natural state. Okay, so I'm just thoroughly combing through there. I feel like as I'm combing, I'm still having like little shed pieces or hair come out, so I'm just making sure I really get those, okay, before I put any water on that. All right, so I have gathered all of the hair, okay, And I want you to tell me this is not good for 4 months. Some people lose this much hair after a 4-week install. This is 4 months, okay? Finger detangling after 4 months. Finger detangle over any other kind of detangle, okay? Okay. All right, this is it. This is her hair. Her edges are still there. It's looking the same as it looked before we installed, if not better. And so now I'm just kind of going through looking at her scalp and just telling her, she was, asking how did she do, and she did very well. Like I was stating earlier, the top of her hair is it's dry. It's always been like that. I always show more attention to it, anytime she comes in to get any type of TLC, or whenever I've finished her protective style, I make sure that I put a good amount of oil in that area. So yeah, all I'm doing is kind of going through and giving her a really, really good scalp scratch. Like really, really good scalp scratch. Making sure I'm raising up all of those skin cells, or dead skin from the hair. So you finna see me kind of go ahead and get up into that. So for all who this is satisfying for, I am going to zip it and let you watch. Alrighty, so I continue to do that until I am done and satisfied. And then we go on to her wash day. So these are the products that I'm going to be using. They're all design essentials and of course roots mix. So I'm using 2 cleansing shampoos. I'm using a scalp tonic first, 2 cleansing shampoos, and then I'm going to use a moisturizing shampoo. And then around her edges and in the crown of her head, which starts to become a tender spot, I have my own little oil mix. Okay, and I'm also going to be using the rosemary and mint conditioner from Design Essentials as well. I can attest this is probably one of the best wash days she has ever had. So yeah, I just washed her hair to make sure that everything was nice and clean. Her scalp is feeling very refreshed. I tell you, this wash at the shampoo bowl, who knows how long it took, but I wanted to make sure after coming out of a style where you've had other hair in, I wanted to make sure that her hair and her scalp was extremely clean, extremely refreshed, and that she'd be ready to go ahead and give her hair a rest until she was ready for her next protective style. And here are the end results. Thank you all so much for tuning in for this takedown. I hope that you were able to gather something from the information that I was giving today. Please share this with somebody who may be needing it, whether they're thinking about getting micros, doing a takedown on their hair of any kind of protective style, need ideas on what products to use or whatever. Anything that you saw in this video that may be helpful for somebody, definitely share it. Give it a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Make sure that you subscribe if you have yet to subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be really teaching coming up here. I had a video last week on Marley Twist. I'll be sure to link it, and any other videos I have that has to do with micro box braids. Okay, so yeah, thank you all again so much for tuning in. I will see you all next time. Peace and blessings.